prospecting. You've got to use the numbers. When I was coaching people and working with them on my team and their business and their check wasn't growing, first thing I said is, are you on the products every day? Are you taking the products every day? Second thing, what are your 90-day goals? Tell me your title goal, tell me your income goal. If they didn't have it, we stopped there. Remember I said it's like a doctor. You can use this as a checklist for diagnosing a problem. But if they had the 90-day goals, I'd say, great, let's go to activity. What are you doing from a prospecting perspective? How many days are you prospecting? What are those days? And how many new prospects are you generating, and what are you doing to accomplish that? And guess where we'd almost always stop? Right there. People were not prospecting. I will tell you the vast majority of the people in your business that want to have a larger income, that want to have more time freedom, that want to have a better life are just not prospecting. So if we have an issue with people not understanding something, we can't fault them if we see it repetitively. If the engineer is teaching something from the front of the room that's causing a problem with every student class after class after class, we can't blame all of the students. We have to say, I'm teaching over their head, or I'm not teaching basic enough, or I'm not spending enough time. But we've got to get it down where they understand fundamentally how this works. Make sense? Critical. And that's where all of you come in. As this room goes, so goes your company. So you've got to make sure it starts with you. You've got to be out there talking to a couple of new people every day. Critically, critically important. And then presentation. Presentation is nothing more than the art of telling the story. If you've listened to a little CD I've produced called Recipe for Success, I talk about keeping the main thing the main thing. And the main thing is simply how many times today is the doTERRA story going to be told for your company? How many times today is the story going to be told by you, a tool, an associate, or an event? How many times? You learn to track that, you can build a financial wall around your family nothing can get through. But you've got to learn to track that. How many times? How many times? We had a little form we made up. The box, some of you know this. How big is the box? Not very big. I didn't want a story, just a number. So I had a little conversation with Mary. How many times did the story get told today, Mary? And Mary would say, well, and Mary wanted to give me a story. You know, kids are sick, something was going on, husband had to work late, this, that, the other thing. Look, all those are reasons. I get that, but they won't fit in the box. I can't put it in the box. The box is too small. So I just need from Mary? I need a number. Guess what Mary says the number is? 0. All you can say is, Mary, I understand the kids, your challenges. I get that, but all I can say is 0, not a good number. We got to go to work on that number if you want you to get the dreams and the goals, the things you set out for yourself. So we have to work with Mary within her situation, with what's going on with her, so that Mary feels comfortable and compelled at the same time. Comfortable from the standpoint, I can do this. Compelled, I want to. And she starts moving forward. But presentation is telling the story. Now, I'll give you my best 2 cents on telling the story. In my perfect world, I would never tell it. In my perfect world, it would be a video, a webinar. It would be a class where someone else is in front of the room, unless I'm the person in front of the room teaching it for someone else. It would be that third-party validation, and third party is anything that isn't you. A little flip chart if you have it, something that you can direct them to. Now, occasionally, you have to be the storyteller. Occasionally, you're the one telling them about that. If you are, here comes the second piece of advice for you. Try it on for size, walk around in it for a little bit of time and see how it fits. But the second best piece of advice I can give you is use a third-party tool and you just be the spokesperson for what's being told. We had an expression we taught everyone. They learned this, which went like this. If your mouth is moving, your finger had better be pointing. So I got the little brochure here. See, this is when the company was established right here, a little bit about the business. Here's kind of what's going on. See this, here's our flagship product. Here's what people are doing. You see this over here. Here's the compensation. Here's how it works. Here's the money people could be making. Whatever it is that I was verbalizing myself, if I was telling something, I was actually referencing something else. Do you know why? Because if I became really, really good at this, and you can tell, by the way, if you have this issue going on in your own personal business, if anyone ever says to you, you know what? You're going to be great at this, but I could never do that. If you ever hear that, here's what they're saying. I couldn't do what you just did. I mean, you could give a presentation that would win you an Academy Award. You know, it's got a little camera on you. You dazzle them with your brilliance. You've got all this stuff. We grow this in the far regions of wherever it's harvested, and you get the whole story down, and they're just hanging on every word. And at the very end, you're saying, you want to become a part of this? And you're thinking, how long does it take to learn that story? I mean, I don't have time for that. I mean, I got to catch the show tonight. I mean, you know, they're going to tell us who gets kicked off American Idol tonight. I mean, how long does it take to learn this story? That's 2 hours of my life. I'm not going to give up for learning this story. But if somebody's just pointing and reading and pointing and reading and pointing and reading, my favorite way of closing an individual was I just handed them whatever it was, brochure, booklet, flip chart, whatever it was, and said, do you think you could go home and tell this story to your spouse? Here's when you know you nailed it. You mean point to the pictures and read? Yeah, I think I could do that. Fantastic. Because what did I just send as a signal to that new individual? It's not hard. If I can point to the pictures and read the captions underneath, the prospect can point to the pictures and read the caption underneath. If I can point to the video and just sit back and watch it, the prospect can point to the video and sit back and watch it. If I can invite them to a webinar and somebody else tells that story, the prospect can go to a webinar. If I can invite people over home where somebody else is presenting it, they can do the same thing. You see what I'm saying? People always want to know, can I do this? Do I have time to do this? And would I feel comfortable doing what you've just done with my family, my friends, and my coworkers? That's what people want to know. Presenting, keep the main thing the main thing. Duplication. We're still on point number 3. Duplication. We've already defined it. Let me remind you, though, of what duplication is. Duplication is just doing point number 1, getting them on the product. Point number 2, setting the 90-day goals. Point number 3, working with them so that they know how to prospect and present and repeat that cycle. That's really the basics of duplication at this point for them. For the brand new person, that's what duplication is. It's repeating, 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 repeating.